All right, Bill, we're live.
Good morning, everybody. This is Bill Feely, and welcome to another edition of MSATP TV. Joining us this morning is Joann Platt, who's going to be talking to us about the BBTT. So, Joann, why don't you introduce yourself a little and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then what is the BBTT?
Okay. Well, my name is Joann Platt, and I recently started my own firm. It's called J. Platt CPA LLC. I have always been with larger firms, and it was just until recently, probably about 3 years ago, that I decided to go out on my own. One of the things I was looking for, one of the things that I miss about being with a larger firm is the fact that I didn't have the camaraderie of a larger firm. If I had questions about something, I could just walk down the hall and ask somebody if they had some experience or whatever. And that's probably one of the reasons I got involved with the BBTT. So it really was primarily for a selfish reason that I did it. I wanted to find a way to connect with other accountants in my area. So I had called the MSA and asked them if they had any groups like that. And of course they did. They had a BBT group. They have several groups. They have one in Montgomery County, one in Howard County, one in Baltimore County, and now the one in Frederick County. And personally, I was very lucky in this, in that I've met a lot of good people. There's some great people in my group. There's like Jim George, Matt Lincoln, Tim Rice, and they're all very knowledgeable and all willing to share a lot of information and whatever questions come up. As far as the BBTT, it's basically an hour-long meeting every month. And right now we are meeting via Zoom. And I think we're probably going to continue that way. It's just a way for us to connect with other accountants and discuss whatever is going on that day. I very rarely have an agenda. It will just be whatever topic comes up. We have talked about so many things. We've talked about, current law changes. We talked about the ERT. A lot of people had questions. Does this really affect this? Does this really affect that? Because no matter how much you read and how much CPE you go to, sometimes it's just when you get into the nuts and bolts of the product that your questions really come out, and it's good to have somebody else to bounce these questions off of. We've talked about billing. Billing has been a very heavy subject that we have talked about. We talked about, who's billing hourly, who is now billing per form, or are they going to the new, basically the subscription-based billing, and the advantages and the disadvantages of all these systems. We talked about the different types of technology. We talked about everything from tax software to calendars to document management systems, everything. Even me, myself, I had a problem. I used ProFX for my tax software, and I had a standalone portal with them. And if you weren't going to upgrade to Access, your standalone portal was no longer available. So I had to go out and look for a portal. So, it takes time, it takes research. I had narrowed it down to 3, and I brought it up and I said, look, I'm looking at these 3. And just from my small group alone, some people said, yeah, I use that, but let me tell you, it gets really expensive, especially if you want to add like DocuSign to it. Another system I had looked at, they said, yeah, it's pretty good, but be prepared to have a whole bunch of emails. So having that live feedback was really invaluable for me.
Right.
We've talked about ways to find new employees, the different things that people are doing to reach out. Even client referrals. If I have a client and I know that it's not a good match for me, maybe there's somebody in my group that I could refer it to. Oh, what else? And sometimes, I hate to say this, but sometimes it just turns out to be a gripe session. Just
right.
Because, you just need to know that you're not alone and everybody's facing challenges right now.
Right.
Let me see another thing. Another thing that came up were suggestions that were made. I've always seen the beach retreat on the with the MSA.
Right.
And I just looked at it and I said, oh, that looks good. but I really don't know how it would be. And I didn't really know anybody that went. And here in my group, there were 3 people that went, and they highly recommended it. And I'll tell you, it was one of the best seminars I have ever gone to. It was small groups, a whole lot of information. And Bill was one of the instructors. And they had a wonderful guest speaker, Matthew Kohler, who talked about introverts, which most accountants believe they are an introvert. And he talked about how introverts are some of the best salesmen. And it was just through this small group and meeting these other people that all these advantages, I guess I should say, came out. I would
So you certainly sound like you get your money's worth out of your membership.
Yeah, it's free.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's what we're here to promote as well.
Oh, not the membership, but the BBTT is definitely
right.
That's free, and yeah. But oh yes, the membership dues are well worth it. Absolutely.
Right. Because you have to be a member in order to be a member of the BBTT.
Yes. Right. I would even recommend this for younger people who maybe are with a small firm and maybe even thinking about branching out on their own. You might be able to pair up with somebody that could be a very, very good mentor for you and could help you cut through a lot of the things that you have to try to figure out on your own.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you get an idea of some of the different software that's out there for you as well. It's not just the camaraderie side of things. It's also very educational, very knowledgeable. Right,
it is. And, I remember being on another BBTT in another county, and they had even talked, a lot of people were talking about exit plans. And one person had talked about, a local company was coming up and offering really good money for an exit strategy, and they were really amazed. So one person was going to check into it and feedback. So it's a whole array of different things. And like I said, if you have something on your mind and you want to talk about it, bring it up. I'm sure there's a lot of knowledgeable people in my group that have taught me so much, and I have 25 years of experience.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If you're to explore a little bit more about who would be a good fit for a member of the BBTT, is there any particular criteria that you would think somebody should have?
I don't think there's any real criteria. I would think it's more geared toward the sole practitioners and the smaller firms. Okay. There's some people that have 5, 10 people in their firm. I guess some people from larger firms, you're always able to hop on. I just think most of these problems are more geared toward the sole practitioner, because the sole practitioner is not only the tax expert, but they're also, the head of the admin department, the head of this and the head of that. So I think it's more geared toward the sole practitioner.
Okay.
Small firms.
So you would recommend the BBTT to small practitioners?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about the BBTT?
No, I think that's all. Like I said, if you have a question and you want to hop on and join us, we're more than happy to have you join us in Frederick County. And I highly recommend it for everybody. And I really, highly recommend that more people actually see what the MSA has to offer to them, because I was never really as involved in the MSA, and I'm really, really glad that I have gotten more involved. I have reaped more benefits, I think, than I've ever expected.
Well, that's a good thing to hear.
Yes.
My favorite expression is givers get. So the more that you give to things, the more you get back in return.
That's absolutely true.
You can sit in your office and ponder all your problems yourself, but if you join into a group like this and share your thoughts and ideas, you get a lot back because other people have experienced different experiences that you have.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I said, especially younger people that are possibly entertaining going out on their own, this could be a real good guiding post, guidepost for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Joann, we appreciate you taking your time this morning to be with us.
Okay.
It's a nice thing. The BBTT is Business Builders Think Tank. And you want to tell us when your group meets?
Well, right now, we were meeting once a month on I think it's the second Tuesday, but we stopped for tax season because everybody's too busy. But the MSA will be putting out advertisements about it, and anybody could jump on and join.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.